Number one, as somebody from the diaspora, as a Kenyan in the diaspora buying land, what are the biggest things that I need to watch out for to prevent getting conned?
There are many, man. It's a minefield. You know, first of all, if you're not here to do a site visit, you have to be fairly confident that information presented to you is accurate and genuine. I know a lot of people in the diaspora don't like to involve family or friends for one reason or another. They've been conned by friends and family before because of the trust element, and so they just want to do their own thing privately. You have to be very confident at that point that Goshen Acquisitions or whoever else has presented accurate information. That generally is easy to tell from the onset based on your interaction with the seller. What was their attitude? What information are they willing to share? Questions being answered, and so on and so forth. You can basically tell if you can trust them or not. Ideally, you want to send someone on your behalf to site to do a site visit and confirm that the situation on ground is as was presented to you on a brochure or on the website or on the TV ad, whatever way it was that you found out about it. That's the first one. The second one has to do with the due diligence. Many don't know what to look out for. They have to rely on the seller to be honest in making certain disclosures, but if they don't know what to look out for, they don't even know what has been disclosed or not. So have a licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya handle this for you. Get referrals. In some cases, our buyers will ask us, can you recommend any good ones? Because we've kissed enough frogs to have found our princesses. We know which good lawyers to work with, and we're happy to recommend that they work with another one if they don't want to use ours, which is well within their rights. If a seller decides by default for you that you have to use their lawyer, generally that's an off-putting sign for me, because you have no control whatsoever about what's being done on the back end to expose you in the future. You want to have a measure of control, right? So always work with a licensed advocate, whether it's your own or if you're sharing the same one for the seller. They have to give you the necessary undertakings about how they're handling your money and so on, right? So that's I find is the biggest one around the mistakes made by people in the diaspora.
Okay, and I think also the escrow. Just a question about the escrow, especially if you're the diaspora. The escrow is a good protection for you. Absolutely,
absolutely. The escrow account is an account used exclusively for custodial purposes, meaning it's an account usually owned by the lawyer to hold funds for both parties in a transaction. Right? Now, if you send money to escrow, always, every single time ensure that the lawyer in charge of the escrow account has issued you what is called a professional undertaking. It's a letter of them giving you the conditions upon which the funds shall move out of that account as a basic minimum. That document, that one-pager document, in many cases, is the difference between heaven or hell for a buyer, because if they move funds out of that account that exposes you or causes loss or injury to you, then they can be handled by the Law Society of Kenya. Disciplinary action can be taken, including disbarment and them losing their license to practice any further. But the escrow account exists specifically for that reason, to hold your funds in safety for your protection as well as for us as a seller, because we don't want to go through the rigors of getting approvals to transfer a property to you. Ownership changes and we're left hanging because we want to pay, right? So in that instance, we will also want to know from the lawyer, yes, we have received X amount from the seller into escrow. Here's the balance. Here's a proof, whether it's a bank statement or a payment receipt, whatever it is. Both parties can be comfortable knowing that when certain conditions are met, funds are released.
Okay. one last question, just before we do a pattern shot. I mean, this conversation can go on for another 7 hours.
Easy.
Just because of the how deep we can get into escrow and who should have access and all of these other questions, into the title deed and the features there, into due diligence. This is just like an overview. And for more information, I mean, you've been seeing www.goshenacquisitions.com. You can also check out their YouTube channel, Own Land in Kenya, where they break down a whole lot more of this. One last thing, I just want you to sort of like have a conversation with somebody who may have enjoyed this class and session. They're thinking about buying land. Again, I'll ask you, why do you think that Kenyans should buy land? What would you say to somebody who's on the fence in terms of participating in this whole wealth ownership conversation? Actually, before I ask that question, I want to talk about a big one: corruption in the land process in Kenya. We can't negate that, especially in this. That's probably one of the reasons why people are so scared. I know you have answered questions on how people can curb and prevent it from happening or catch it. What are your thoughts on, or what would you have to say about corruption? Because I'm sure it's brought about delays, it's brought about hardship. What are your thoughts on corruption in Kenya in terms of land buying?